Those of you who want to hold on, we can wait for the wine. I can see some dear friend with a cup of tea in her hand. Please, Alka, join us. Mr. Yogi, please come in front. You always do. Dear friends from publishing, request you. Okay, so here we begin on the Oxford Bookstore cover prize and the Jaipur Bookmark.
Amused and intrigued.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to Oxford Bookstore, New Delhi. I am Neeta Sridharan, and on behalf of Oxford Bookstore, it's a pleasure to have all of you here for the announcement of the much-awaited long list of the third edition of Oxford Bookstore Book Cover Prize. So let's begin the evening and the celebrations. May I invite Mr. Swagat Sengupta, Chief Executive Officer, APJ Oxford Bookstores, to introduce the prize and the evening to all of us.
Friends of literature, Oxford Bookstore, and prize, a warm welcome to all of you. And thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for joining us today on this occasion of the very important announcement of the long list of the third edition of the Oxford Bookstore Book Cover Prize. It has been an excellent year for the prize and also an equally wonderful year for the bookstore. I'm delighted to inform you that the number of participating entries has doubled this year. And we are also happy to announce that in the third year, we have received some very striking book cover designs from solo designers. Ladies and gentlemen, the long list that we unveiled today was chosen following a detailed process of shortlisting and intensive discussions by our distinguished jury. Among the many significant literary initiatives initiated by Oxford Bookstore over the past decade, the Book Cover Prize is of special importance. The Oxford Bookstore Book Cover Prize is a first of its kind award for brilliance in book design, an attempt by Oxford Bookstore to recognize and encourage the extraordinary work of illustrators, designers, and publishers across India. We believe that a book cover interprets and decodes the ensuing text in crucial ways that contribute to its ultimate success. Moreover, as ways of reading proliferate, the concept of the cover design too will evolve, and we look forward to an even more exciting part in the years ahead. Before we take the evening forward, I would like to thank our chair of jury, Amarnath, Alka Pandey, Dhanendra Singh, and Namita Gokhale, who have been all crucial in bringing this together, and also a very special thank you to our best jury this year, renowned artist Jagannath Panda. Before I conclude, I would also like to thank Mr. Sanjay Roy for hosting the prize at Jaipur Bookmark every year, and Neeta Gupta for all your support and team spirit that has been extended to us.
Thank you, Mr. Sengupta. Friends, we have with us today leading art critic, historian, and a jury member, Alka Pandey, whom I'd like to invite to talk about the prize, the book covers, and the selection procedure.
Thank you, Neeta. Thank you for making all the right introductions in the background. I want to actually begin by complimenting Preeti Kaur and complimenting Namita Gokhale for coming up with the idea of a book cover design. Generally, it is said never judge a book by its cover, but we always do. And as a trained art historian, what I really understood about book covers was from the early Christian Byzantine art, when you had those encrusted, bejeweled Bibles which were done. And also within the Indian tradition, our absolutely fascinating illustrated manuscripts, the first one with a dated colophon in 1026 of the Pragya Paramita. These were beautiful ones which were done in India. They were done on wooden pothys and painted, whereas in the West it was done with vellum and with animal skin. However, it was an art, and you will see a lot of genteel Englishmen putting gorgeous books together, painting them, folding them, creating beautiful jewels, what we call book art. But today we are not here really to discuss book art. We are talking about marketing. We are talking on how books really, in a big bookshop like this, which is the book which is going to grab your eyeballs? Which is the book which you are walking across and you think, what is this book about? And you think you're never going to read it, but the book cover brings you, seduces you. Now, I'm talking of how digital media and graphic designers today have turned book art into a new way of looking. And here I want to bring in the transformative power of art. And what we see is some of the best artists were actually taken in by Penguin, by big publishing houses. For example, Richard Gentleman was taken in, the one who's done the Charing Cross railway station. He was hired by Penguin, Quentin Blake, and Paul Hogarth. These were people who were responsible for making Penguin's run of even the Graham Greene comics. Paul Hogarth made it. They also did actually color coding. Green for environmental books, red for fiction. And you also see modern classics got a new lease of life with photography coming in. A Cecil Beaton portrait of one of his fashion-conscious sisters illustrated a new edition of Scott Fitzgerald's novel Tender is the Night, and a photo by Bill Brandt of an unknown woman smoking was used on the cover of Patrick Hamilton's 1941 novel of Bohemian London. Today is politically incorrect and it would never be made on a book cover. But you are having very different book covers. You are having book covers which are very haptic. You can touch them, you can feel them. You are having UV book covers. You begin with a huge tradition of book making and lithographs from Calcutta. So all these things were part of the history of the aesthetics. But this is just a little background to really come to what we did, thanks to the hospitality of our friend Amarnath at Tijara. Normally we are sent very meticulously a pen drive, book covers, photocopied, color printed, and we look at them. So this time when we went back to Tijara after a 3-hour bumpy ride, we had sandwiches and there was Namita with Amarnath and she just says, now let's redo it again. So all of us, and we are all very meticulous people who spent hours correcting it, frankly my heart sank. I said, oh my God, I mean all those hours gone waste. But when we went to her room and the books were laid out, we had done earlier, went out of the window. There were 86 book covers. I think we had actually gone down to 24. I had 24 shortlisted. Aman had about another 26. Dayanika had a 20 plus. Namita had also a 20 plus. But when we started actually touching the books, looking at them, feeling them, you know, we all completely changed our minds, and the books which had featured in our shortlist, some of them were there, but most of them changed. We started looking at the font afresh, we started looking at the color imagery again, and we ultimately came down to, I think, 16. So we had 16 long lists, and all these were based, like Dayanita said, iski binding kharab hai. Ahmad said, well, I like the design of this. This tells me a lovely story. Somebody said the design looked too busy. So what ultimately it was that we started looking at all the traditional definitions of what makes a good book cover. Font, cover, illustration, artwork. Is photography, if you take a photograph, there was, for example, a particular copy of the Ramayana, and we were wondering whether should we take that as a good book cover or not, because that was an illustrated manuscript cover which had just been transplanted on the face of the book. So we had lots and lots of arguments, debates, discussions, and what was nice is that I think it took us almost 3 years to have a certain maturity of really understanding, because these were 4 different minds. Namita is an author and probably has an equal investment in her book design. Dayanita is a photographer, but she's a trained graphic artist. Amarnath comes from a strongly advertising background and he's a writer. And I'm a trained art historian. Yeah. And I'm a trained art historian, so I was looking at the visual aesthetics and looking at the historical narrative as well. So when we came down to the 16 books, a very interesting thing happened. One of Namita's books reached the shortlist, and suddenly there was a lot of nervous energy saying, oh my God, I can't be part of it, I'm recusing myself. We all understood being a professional, she wanted to, but then as things kind of fall into place, there was Jagannath Panda, the artist, in Tijara, who was working on an art installation there. So we managed to get an extremely talented artist who, lives between the world of tradition and modernity. Jagannath's father is a panda in a mandir in Puri. He trained at the Royal College and had a stint in Japan. So he came to us with this kind of knowledge goal of tradition and modernity, which is so important for India. Because I think nowhere in the world does tradition and modernity and many modernities exist as they exist in India. So we made a fine, feisty team and came across, finally managed to settle at 16 book covers, with Namita recusing herself. Now, let's see if her book makes the prize or not. I'm sure she'd want it, but we have to be, Caesar's wife and make sure that we do what we have to do. But all I can say is that it has been really wonderful. Thank you, Neeta, for your meticulous detailing and the pen drive and the books that you sent. It was wonderful for the wonderful, scintillating debates, because we really, ultimately, we were short of coming to fisty fights, but that is very healthy. So it was a very, very interesting encounter. And I think the number of people who sent entries this year was quite a large number. There were 86. It has doubled since last year. And also, the final shortlist is going to be a tough one, I think, because there are 4 to 5 books for which there is a debate, and to pick a winner is going to be a really difficult exercise for all of us. So all I can say is that we all had a ball. It was wonderful. The discussions were energetic, and seeing the range, it was a huge range. There were some which were only with font. There was some where there was over ornamentation. Some where narrative and storytelling took over, and some where there were single minimal images. So it's been an interesting journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Alka ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to announce the long list of the Oxford Bookstore Book Cover Prize. May I now invite Namita Gokhale, author, publisher, and festival director, and also a jury member to announce the long list.
Dear friends, publishing community, all of us who go through so much every day, design out book after book after book. Lovely to join here as the year ends for a glass of wine, and thank you, Oxford Bookstore, for your hospitality and for your affection for publishers from different language groups and different genres. I want to clarify that I don't really want my book to win because it's not my book. It's the book here is about the designers, and I didn't want the designer to feel disqualified just because she had designed my book, because then nobody would want to design my books anymore. It would be a negative thing. Now, do we first unwrap the book? They've done, as usual, something spectacular, and then I'll quickly read out the list. But first, the book of books, or the book of book covers.
Oh, this is gorgeous. Wow. Yeah.
And just turn some of the pages.
Each one of them. Each one.
Here we go.
Beautiful.
Keep changing.
Wow.